we've got a great group of panelists today. I wanted to bring a blended panel together today of athletic coaches and business owners and entrepreneurs in my sphere. I feel there's a crossroad between these two groups that we all can benefit from. I feel my coaching friends can benefit from some of the things my business friends are doing, driving their businesses forward. And I feel my business friends can use some things from my coaching friends as far as how they're pushing their athletic programs to new heights. I think we can also use some of those concepts in our business with our teams and the people that we're influencing. Because when we really think about it, our athletic players are our customers. As athletic coaches, they have to buy what we're selling. And on the flip side, as business owners and entrepreneurs, our customers, our sales teams, those are our players that we are coaching through the real estate process or whatever process that may be. Dustin's coaching his through the insurance policy process. So my goal is for everyone to get some ideas to take back to their organization to help it be better tomorrow than it is today. So on the end of the year or your season, for your organization as a whole. So as a whole, how do you kind of put a bow on the end of the year to say, this is the end of this, and we're going to move on to that. So we're going to start with Rachel, then we'll go to Coach Watson, then Dustin, then Coach Prock. So Rachel.
Well, I assume much like basketball, like we're all focused on the end of the year right now in the holidays, but with real estate, your actual business end of the year could be at any time and is usually, whenever your anniversary date is with your brokerage. So like, even though we're all focused on the end of the year right now, for a lot of people in real estate, this might be like the middle of their year. Like in basketball, like y'all are just starting district. So, I mean, it's not really like put a bow on it kind of thing. I'm fortunate that this actually is the end of my real estate year as well as the year because my anniversary date is January 1st. So I am kind of able to look at the year as a whole and plan for, next year as a whole at this, end of the year. So for me, it's important in my business to be able to take some time to reflect, but also celebrate the wins of this previous year. I spend so much time looking for like what's next and what I'm doing next, and everything's a hustle all the time. And so it's nice to be able to just set aside some time at the end of my year to go back and celebrate those wins and maybe reflect on some of those lessons that I've learned throughout this year. And when I'm planning for my next year, to know like, hey, these are the things that I'm going to get better at. These are the things that I'm absolutely not going to do again. Or, these are the things that I want to do this next year that I wasn't able to do in the previous year. And be able to have all of that going into my goal planning and my goal setting for what I'm looking to do next year. And so as far as wrapping up the year and the season, other than just the numbers reflection, then the actual being able to take the time to celebrate wins. Because, I know throughout the rest of the year, I don't really leave myself any time for that. It's always easier to focus on the negatives, to see what didn't work. I mean, that's always right in your face. But then like looking back, we had such a crazy year. I mean, everybody's had a crazy year, right? Nobody hasn't been affected by the pandemic, and this particular calendar year of real estate, we we kind of saw it all in real estate, from you can't do showings, you can't have, you have no opportunity to really sell anything, to the hottest market that we've seen, and people literally just throwing money at houses. And so like we really just saw it all this calendar year. And so just also taking some of that experience and being able to put it into the planning for next year. But yeah, as far as putting a bow on everything, it is nice for me, since this is, like I said, the actual end of my year, but everything still needs to move forward and be a plan for next year, but really taking that time to look back at what was a positive and what I need for my goal setting, which I think is maybe like a third quarter panel conversation.
Okay. All right. Coach Watson, from your basketball athletic program perspective, as Rachel said, you're just moving into district. So your season's not officially over, but I know coaches use the end of the calendar year often. So could you just take a few minutes and tell us, how are you put a bow on the end of 2021, even though you're in the middle of a season? Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and have you unmute, and if you could take this from the athletic program perspective. I'll come back to Coach Watson.
Okay. Well, thank you. First off, thank you for having me on, Michael. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's a unique time of year for, especially, I know high school and college are a little bit similar, but, we have a mandated 7 days off right now. And so it's kind of been that way since I've been in college. And so one of the biggest things that I do is I really try to go back and look at, our first part of our season, which is usually what we consider a non-conference. Now, there are times and places that I've been that we have started conference season already, but this is a little different year, and we don't actually start conference until we get back after the break on December 31st. So one of the things I look at, especially this year, this is being my first year here at West Texas. First off, when I think I mentioned to you guys before we got on here, the difficult non-conference schedule that we had, and it was very, very difficult. Matter of fact, we, in our 7 losses that we've had, the combined record of those teams are 63-15. So it really challenged us to really look at what we've been doing right, what we've been doing wrong. One of the things that I always like to ask myself this time of year is, what am I doing right? What are we doing wrong? And it's more about, I sit down with my coaches and my leaders and my captains, and we have these discussions in middle December, early December. And I look at my coaches and ask them, like, what am I doing wrong? What do I got to do better? Because I think a lot of times as coaches, we want to, we can point the finger and the kids aren't doing this and the kids aren't doing that. And that's not the way I approach it, because if we're not performing well, it's something that I'm probably not doing right. And so how can I get them to perform better? I would say right now, for us and our team, we're just continuing to gel, continuing to try to get better, these kids learning a new system. And so with that being said, as learning a new system, I'm trying to get these kids to understand exactly what our expectation is, and how we want to play. It's a completely different system from what they had previously. We're more, kind of free flowing offense, more structural defense than they've had before. And with them, it was kind of opposite. They were structured offensively, more free flowing defensively. So it's really kind of almost the opposite in spectrums. And we have 4 different groups that we have to work into this year. You have kids that have been here, kids that were recruited here by the previous coaching staff, kids that I've recruited here, and then kids that actually came with me from my previous place. So you have 4 different factions of kids that we're trying to bring together. So I think the biggest thing for us, Michael, that I've tried to ask, and I try to ask this every year, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Because there's always, I've gone into a Christmas break before where I've been 10-0. And I still ask that question, because even though you're 10-0, you're perfect, mean, right now we're 500, we're 7-7. So I still think whether you're perfect or 500, there's things that you're missing and you can get better at, So I think that's the biggest things that we focus on, Michael, that areas that I try to target. And, but again, I appreciate it.
I like the fact that you include your staff, your captains, your leaders when you ask that question. I think that shows a lot of vulnerability as the leader. So appreciate that. Dustin, can you fill us in on how you put a bow on the end of your year with your insurance group?
Yeah, absolutely. So very similar to what Coach Prock was talking about. We've been blessed with a good team. And so partly what I realized a couple of years ago is if I come out and I span the ideas and I spin up on the vision myself, I don't really get a buy-in from my team on it. So we started implementing, I guess I'll go back just a little bit farther and stay there for a second. But I used to go and I'd take off, a couple of weeks about mid-November, and I'd vision plan for the next year, go over what did I do right? What did I do wrong? How can I improve? Basically run through a debrief process on the year. I try to do that quarterly, so I'm not having to go run a bunch of stuff. And then we just run quarters to quarter, similar to what we're doing right now, right? Similar to what you do in sports. But what I did this year, actually, I started this last year, is I would have them fill out all of theirs first. So I hand them a 2022 packet, basically was what this year was, a 2022 packet, and it goes through what's your themes, what are your highlights from 2021, what was your biggest success, what was your biggest failure, what are 5 things that you want to accomplish, where do you think we can improve as a team, what do you think we've done well as a team, really let them debrief themselves. And then we do a culture test at the end where they have to rate my leadership and my leadership ability on our team, right? So we've got a service team lead, we've got a sales team lead, we've got an ops manager, and I've got myself. And so I have everybody rate everybody, and then everybody rates me. And it's full transparency. It's scaled from 1 to 10, and there can't be 9s and 10s. If you hand me a 9 or a 10, I give it back to you, make you go redo it again. And that's really given us a culture of improvement, right? Criticism is just that. It's just an opportunity to improve. So I started bringing them on really, and then I'll go over it with them briefly, 10 to 15 minutes, kind of run through some of the highlights. And then I'll take that and we go back, and me and my now wife, before it was just me, but I'd go back and I would, I pray over it. We think about it. I start spinning up and where I think I see the company going, what the vision, where we're at. And I project it out in 5 years. And then when we come back together, we take an entire day and we come back together and we go over, hey, this is the vision for the new year. This is the vision for the plan. This is what we did well last year. You guys said that you wanted to do these things. And if it's a financial goal, or if it's a health goal, or if it's a whatever goal, then we try to break things down in the company and go, hey, this is where we're headed as a company. This is where you said you wanted to head personally. This is where I personally see yourself fit into it. Where do you see yourself fit into it? And so it causes them to be ingrained at a molecular level to the company, not just, hey, Dustin said we were going this way, so we're just going to start hiking, right? We're just going to start rucking this out. It's more so, hey, this is what I said I wanted to do. Oh, he listened to me, and this is how I can get to my goals because this is the company goals, right? So really, we kind of do the same thing, that Prock was talking about. I can only go so far by myself. I've got to have a whole team to get to where we're trying to get to. And if I have them be a part of the planning, then it becomes their idea and their vision, not just mine. You're muted. Still muted.
So you're building a culture of ownership within
Correct.
your group there. So
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Coach Watson, I think we're ready for you now, big dog. So from your athletic, viewpoint within your high school program, what are you looking at the end of 2021? Obviously, I think you have a great season going. I believe you only have 1 loss right now. So what are you looking at right now at the end of this year, moving into the next.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Michael. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Having a lot of tech problems on my end. It's the first time I've been on a Zoom call in quite some time. Thank God. But I am happy to be here today. For us, it's a lot like what Coach Prock was talking about. It's kind of easy for us to break our season into segments. The early part of the season before you get into district play. Lot of games in a short period of time, and then we just hit a phase where we're playing in a bunch of tournaments, and you really don't have a whole lot of time to practice or watch film. It's just like you're going all the time. Fortunately for us, we've got a very experienced team right now, and that's allowed us to play through some mistakes and make some adjustments on the fly. Whereas if we had a younger team, we probably wouldn't have handled some things as well as we have. But we came back from a tournament in Cyprus the weekend before last. And it was the first time we've had a chance to really kind of catch our breath and kind of talk about where we're at and what we need to do going forward. So for us, it was just kind of going back and reviewing the things we've done well. And then looking at some areas of maybe weakness or areas that need improvement. We kind of went through the stats with them. Our record looks really good, but there's always something there that can be better. And we talk about, hey, as we've had some success along the way, it's important to understand that the competition level may be different from game to game. And, we need to make sure we're always trying to play to our standard, whatever our standard is. But we went through the stats with them and talked about the areas that we're pretty strong in, areas that we need improvement. And then my assistant coach and I just went through some things that we each think that we've got to get better at. And so we put them on the board for them the other day and just said, hey, look, going forward, these are the things that have to be better, if we're going to reach the goals that we need to reach. And I love the way our season lines out. It was real exciting at the beginning. Like I said, we've already played 17 games. The only loss we had was to a team that was the number one team in the country at the time we lost to them. So, it's real easy for us to feel good about that. But one of the things we have to, I'm dealing with 15 to 18-year-old kids. So, complacency and starting to believe all the things everybody's telling you about yourself is a real thing. I think that's a struggle for probably anyone, but just imagine it's magnified when you're talking about high school kids. So we've talked to them about, look, you got to understand, don't believe all these great things people are saying about you, because as well as we've played to this point in the year, none of it matters really. I mean, we're happy with where we're at, but the games that really start to matter, the first one was on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, we played our first district game, and all that stuff we did beforehand really wouldn't matter if we dropped that first district game. So just getting those guys, refocused on what's ahead is really, really important for us.
All right, appreciate it. So for those of my business sphere, basketball coaches, we generally break our seasons into almost 3 seasons. We have a pre-district, we have a tournament season, and then we get into the districts and playoffs. And, in the real estate business, it helped me because there is a rhythm to real estate as well. There's a time to be running and lead generating, and then there's going to be a time where you're working on all those transactions that you develop. And so much like seasons in athletics, we also have seasons in our businesses. So great session. Coach Watson, I like how you guys are going back and just reevaluating what your standards are, because everybody else is evaluating on what their standard is. I like how you said, we're going to look at our standards and make sure we're trying to meet those.